let me welcome you to my channel. Before we begin the video, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe and like this post. Jacob Fatu wasn't the man who Roman Reigns pinned at Bad Blood 2024. It was Solo Sikoa who took the fall. The dominant Samoan werewolf made an interesting statement to the OTC during their brief interaction at the Premium Live event. Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns' appearances have overlapped one another, and as a result, their interactions have been minimal. Although it seemed for the last few months that Roman versus Solo Sikoa was the destination, Jacob Fatu has been far more protected, with many believing that Roman versus Jacob Fatu is the big money match. In a brief interaction, the Samoan werewolf told the OTC during their match at Bad Blood 2024 that Solo Sikoa was Roman Reigns' tribal chief. Do CM Punk and Drew McIntyre hate each other off camera? Pro wrestling legend thinks so. Reigns won the battle, but the war is far from over. Apart from The Rock returning, there seems to be a tease of a full-on civil war happening at Survivor Series, War Games. Cody Rhodes will be defending his WWE title at Crown Jewel against either Gunther or Sami Zayn, so the Bloodline feud will have to take a back seat for the time being. In one of the most electrifying moments of Bad Blood 2024, wrestling fans witnessed a surprising backstage interaction between two of the most powerful figures in the Wwe family dynasty: Roman Reigns, the undisputed WWE Universal Champion and Tribal Chief, and Jacob Fatu, a dominant force in the world of independent wrestling and former MLW World Heavyweight Champion. This unexpected meeting set the wrestling world on fire, leaving fans buzzing about what the future might hold for these two Samoan powerhouses. Thanks to exclusive behind-the-scenes footage, fans were able to get a glimpse of this rare interaction, which was charged with tension, respect, and perhaps a foreshadowing of things to come. But the burning question on everyone's mind is, what exactly did Jacob Fatu tell Roman Reigns during their face-to-face encounter at Bad Blood 2024? Let's break down this monumental moment and the potential implications for the future of WWE and the Bloodline storyline. It was a typical WWE backstage segment, cameras following Roman Reigns as he made his way down the hall, flanked by Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa. Just moments after his intense match at Bad Blood, Reigns was walking with the swagger and confidence that has defined his reign as tribal chief, when suddenly he stopped in his tracks. The camera panned, and there stood Jacob Fatu. The tension in the air was palpable. While the two have never crossed paths inside the WWE ring, the familial connection between them was undeniable. Both men are part of the legendary Wwe family, a wrestling dynasty that has produced some of the biggest names in the industry, from Yokozuna to The Rock to the USOs. But Jacob Fatu has carved out his own path, building a name for himself outside of WWE and becoming one of the most feared and respected wrestlers in the independent scene, particularly in Major League Wrestling, MLW. The moment they locked eyes, it was clear that this was no ordinary backstage encounter. Roman, always the composed and calculating tribal chief, squared his shoulders and stared down Jacob Fatu, a man who could easily be seen as a threat to his legacy. Jacob, known for his intense, no-nonsense demeanor, didn't back down, meeting Roman's gaze with equal intensity. In the video, you can see Paul Heyman looking visibly nervous, understanding the gravity of this moment. Solo Sikoa, standing just behind Roman, was motionless, but clearly ready to step in if things got physical. However, it was clear from the outset that this wasn't going to be a brawl, at least not yet. This was about words, respect, and a message that Jacob Fatu needed Roman Reigns to hear. The interaction began with Jacob Fatu breaking the silence. Leaning in slightly, Fatu spoke softly, his words picked up just faintly by the cameras. According to close sources and lip readers who dissected the footage, Fatu said something along the lines of, "This was a bold statement from Fatu. subtly challenging Roman's claim as the head of the Wwe family's wrestling dynasty. Roman, after all, has spent the last few years asserting his dominance not just in WWE, but as the self-proclaimed tribal chief of the family, a mantle passed down through generations. But Jacob Fatu's words suggested that not everyone in the family, especially those outside of WWE, fully acknowledged Roman's rule. Fatu's message seemed clear. While Roman Reigns may be the dominant force in WWE, his influence doesn't necessarily extend to the entire Samoan wrestling legacy. Jacob Fatu, who has made waves outside WWE, was essentially stating that Roman's claim to the throne wasn't absolute, and that there are other Samoans in the wrestling world carving their own paths, unshackled by the bloodline's internal power struggles. After Fatu spoke, Roman didn't immediately respond with words. Instead, the tribal chief allowed a heavy pause to fill the room, his eyes narrowing as he processed the challenge that had just been laid out before him. Roman's body language was that of someone who had been disrespected but was calculating his next move. There was no outburst, no immediate confrontation, just a cold, hard stare that seemed to promise future consequences. Paul Heyman, ever the mediator, stepped forward at this point, as if sensing the need to de-escalate the situation. "Roman," Heyman whispered, as if reminding the tribal chief of his position and what was at stake. But Roman never broke his gaze with Fatu. After what felt like an eternity, Roman finally spoke. "We'll see about that," he said in a low, deliberate tone, his voice carrying a quiet threat. There was no yelling, no grand proclamations, but the message was clear. Roman wasn't going to forget this moment. With that, Roman turned and walked away, leaving Jacob Fatu standing alone, unshaken. Fatu didn't flinch or follow, and instead watched Roman leave, a knowing smile creeping onto his face, as if he had said exactly what he came to say. This interaction between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu has sparked endless speculation among fans and insiders alike. Could this be the first step toward Jacob Fatu making his way to WWE? Is this setting the stage for an eventual showdown between these two Samoan warriors? Or was this simply a passing moment, a reminder that Roman's claim to the tribal chief title is not as universally accepted as he might believe? Jacob Fatu's words carry weight because they hint at a larger narrative, one where Roman Reigns, despite all his success in WWE, may not have the full backing of his extended family. Fatu's statement that Roman doesn't speak for all of us suggests there are fractures within the family, with members who see the bloodline story from a different perspective. Could Jacob Fatu represent an alternative faction of the Samoan wrestling dynasty, one that exists outside of WWE's universe? If so, this could lead to a fascinating expansion of the bloodline storyline, bringing in characters from outside the company to challenge Roman's dominance. If this interaction was anything to go by, the seeds have been planted for a future confrontation between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. While Fatu may not yet be a part of WWE, the possibility of him stepping into the ring to challenge Roman could create one of the most compelling family feuds in wrestling history. The Bloodline storyline has already captivated fans with its intricate family dynamics, and the addition of someone like Jacob Fatu, who represents a legitimate threat to Roman's position, could push the story into uncharted territory. Fatu's reputation as a fierce, unrelenting competitor would make him a formidable opponent, and his ties to the Wwe family would give the feud a deeply personal edge. For now, fans can only speculate on what's to come. But one thing is clear: the tension between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu is real, and this interaction at Bad Blood 2024 could be the beginning of a new chapter in the Bloodline saga, one where Roman's claim as tribal chief is not as secure as he once believed.